Now I decided to play b4 because if I exchange there, then my e4 pawn needs some care. I actually believe that it is not less weak than the d6 pawn, and the position seems to be just equal. Black plays knight b4 or knight e5 later on, and I'm not in time to regroup my pieces in an optimal way. So I decided to complicate the matters a bit, and I took on c4 and played bishop a4, trying to get use of the pin. Actually, the whole line should not be so dangerous for black. I think he can even consider playing a rook takes e4, but it's probably unnecessary, and now some sort of move like bishop c8, but there is no need to play this actually. I just had some such crazy ideas, but probably this is not justified. Probably white can move his knight to d4, and I don't know, there is some sort of quite nice compensation, but still this is not the way how I would have played it with black. Yes, so I apologize. I once more forgot where the pieces were. So it will take me some time to find correct squares for them. Yes, at this position, black took on e3 and played queen b6. Perhaps even this is fine, I don't know really. It is hard to suggest an improvement. I think black hasn't done anything wrong yet. And now my original intention was to play queen d4, although I understood that black could eventually play something like c5 there, making use of the fact that if I take on e8, he can take on d4 with a big advantage. And if I play something else, then black wins this pawn. Actually, I saw some crazy ideas like this, or knight b3, and I believe the position to be equal, but then I spotted another line which disappointed me rather a lot, and which forced me to look for some other solution, because black can simply play c5. Now the point is that if I take on c4, he can take on e4. Actually, black is pawn up with an excellent chance to win the game. I mostly decided for my moves by the process of elimination. I'm no computer, of course, but at this sort of position, it was often possible to figure out which moves would not have brought me anything, and which moves were the only sensible tries, or at least from my point of view. So I played knight d2, because if I exchange on c6, it is a draw at best. Maybe black would even be better. And queen d4 does not work, so I played knight d2. Actually, it seems that black can take on d5 with excellent compensation, but it's not so clear, because white can play e takes d5, making use of an intermediate move, knight takes c4. So this is how black should not play it. Actually, black can improve on this line, but I believe that it's not so good to give up the exchange. My opponent was thinking around here, and I spotted a nice idea which happened in the game. Perhaps rook e7 is the most accurate move, but I'm not sure really. I don't know. I will have to analyze the game. But it seems to me that white has nothing here, because if I take on c4, then black recaptures the pawn here and attacks my knight simultaneously. And if I play it in a different way, I believe that black will be able to keep the material equilibrium, material equality, balance. Yes, so actually this does not look like equal, because white can take a pawn on d6, so I had better to think about it a bit more. I did not calculate it very accurately because it was not my task. I had to decide for my move, and I did this, and now it was my opponent's problem to decide which move is the best one, whether it is c3 or rook e7, rook d8, c takes d5, or queen takes b4, or something completely else, which is probably the most likely answer to my question, if it can be considered a question, because maybe black can play something like rook c8 actually, but he has to take this in account. Well, I have to admit that I haven't calculated this, so I don't know whether it is equal or better for white, but white does not risk anything for sure. Rook d8 should not be so dangerous, and bishop takes a4 followed by queen b1 is probably not sufficient for equality. In fact, I'm probably quite a bad annotator, or at least today, because I failed to propose an improvement for black, and his position was completely fine, but now it became worse, and I'm still unaware of where did the turning point occur, because now I played bishop takes c6. It gives nothing black, I'm sorry, it would have given nothing to white to exchange it in this way, because this pawn is not really weak and black can easily hold the position. It's absolutely equal, in fact. So it makes no sense to say that black would be holding the position. It is just equal. But I spotted a nice trick, so I took it with my bishop on c6. Now queen takes b4 fails to rook b1, so this is more or less forced. Knight takes c4, and the point is that if black takes on b4, then I can take on c6, and this move loses an exchange. Well, maybe this is not completely lost, but I think black probably even does not get the pawn for the exchange. I have to admit that I again missed some nice trick, namely rook b3. If white had not this move, then it could still be technically difficult, but now white is winning our trade. But of course, there is no need to play like this, but I don't know what to propose, how to improve on this line. I saw rook c8 at this position, when I probably would have to play something like knight a5, or maybe first rook a4. Actually, white's pieces are not coordinated very well, do not coordinate very well with each other, but still white is a pawn up, and black has to do his best to recapture the pawn. I know that the knight is clearly misplaced, but still the worst thing which can happen to me is that I lose the pawn and it becomes a draw. Grandmaster Tkachiev decided to play queen c7 instead. And now I took on c6. By the way, at this position d5 might be an interesting option, because if white takes the pawn, then he will probably lose both of these pawns.